So I'm just calling, getting like, dude, you're the 100th, 50th, whatever person. And then I just kept calling, even if they said no. The seller, Christy, she's awesome, was my first deal. Got super excited, and I was like, wow, she's going into foreclosure in like 3 weeks. Like, what do I do? Kind of thing. And then just kept watching YouTube. I wasn't in your program yet, so I didn't have like so much support, direct support. Yeah. And then watching Ryan Weimer's podcast, I reached out to him. And so I had not gotten fully under contract yet. I said, hey, there has to be something ultra different here. I'm used to, listing and selling houses. I've never dealt with a foreclosure. That sounds like Chinese to me. What do I do? Yeah. And so I reached out to him with like, hey, I'm willing to 50-50 with this with you. I saw your podcast, super pumped about it. Let's connect.
Welcome to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. I am your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People, and I have an incredible conversation that we're going to be having on the podcast today. So I want to introduce to the Rhino Tribe, to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, Daniel Alvarez from Boise, Idaho. How are you?
Good. Glad
this
to be
is
here.
incredible. Daniel, you are set to close $240,000 in income in your first 6 months.
Correct.
At wholesaling real estate. Well, wholesaling, flipping, kind of a combination of both. Sure. And we're going to dissect all of that. But $240,000, I'm going to be, the average is you don't do any deals for 6 months, right? Right. And if you're really pushing, if you're really being proactive, the first 90 days, you could usually get something that is going to be a good deal that you can sink your teeth into. But $240,000 essentially in 6 months. Sure. I mean, that's you have to understand that's incredible.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely excited about it. Yeah.
So, how did that happen?
Off of the show, really. Just off of being bored at my job, my new job, and watching YouTube, diving in the weeds, and seeing a podcast that you held with a guy in my market, Ryan Weimer. Yeah. And being excited off of it. Just trying to get so many options to what's next, what excites me, what actually keeps me going, and what makes me happy. And so it started off of the show. So it's kind of crazy being here. Yeah. Well,
that's like such a unique advantage that I get to have is because Casey Ames, huge, one of the biggest in your market. Ryan Weimer, incredible, one of the biggest in your market. Both of I've had the fortune to have these conversations and these interviews and really understand what they're doing. And then you just watching that, you went and took action, and now you're on the show. That's the whole point. Right. I mean, I want everybody to understand that you are the perfect example of, I want everybody listening and watching to be on here and talking to me because they actually went and took the action. They're not just bystanders. They're actually in the game. They're not sitting on the bench. They're playing the game. And you went out there and you did that. Right. And we're going to break down how you did your first deals from a cold call on Zillow. But before we do that, a lot of experience in real estate before you started watching YouTube. Like what was going on? What's your background?
Yeah, just on the transactional side.
Okay.
Just being a realtor. Yeah. How that happened, I was in coffee for a long time. Moved to.
What do you mean in coffee?
So I started as a barista, got the exposure to that while I was living in Australia in 2015-16. Moved back to the States, was at Bible college and working coffee at the same time. Long story short, moved to Washington State to kind of progress the relationship with my wife and kind of get married and stuff like that. Worked at many different local coffee shops there. And what got me into real estate was Kenny Maurer. So Kenny Maurer was this bright, I love Kenny if you're watching this. He was 18 or 19 at the time. He was younger than me. The guy was making like $200K selling real estate as a realtor. Sure. And he'd come in and the back of my mind was like, there's nothing different about this guy.
He'd come into the coffee shop.
He'd come into the coffee shop, and because his girlfriend would work at some of the coffee shops I worked at. Now they're married. They're awesome people. And I asked him, like, how do you do this? Like, how do you, like, in my mind, business is not huge in my family. My dad ran a commercial painting company way back when, but never like a huge business. And so I always thought they were super far-fetched to attain. And I just asked Kenny one day, hey, can we like grab lunch or have, coffee and can I hear about this real estate thing? And he said, sure, let's do it. And so we got coffee actually at Mud Bay Coffee on Cooper Point. And Kenny was like, dude, you'd be great. And I was like, what do you mean? And so I am horrible at tests. I failed the Washington State real estate test 3 times. Mm-hmm. I failed the Idaho one 3 times after being a realtor for years. So I knew that about myself. I'm great at this.
Yeah, sure.
I'm horrible at this.
Right.
And so I was like telling Kenny that, and he was like, dude, you're going to be fine. You're just talking to people. You're just being relational. Mm-hmm. You know, you have that in your background. And so I dove in. First year I sold 17 to 18 homes, just open houses and door knocking, open houses, cold calls.
In Washington.
In Washington. So I married into a family that is awesome, but they've lived their whole lives there in Washington State in Olympia. Mm-hmm. I knew more people than they knew after 4 months of living in that place.
Got it.
So I didn't move there of like, oh, I got into real estate and they've lived here and I tapped into this referral, business. It was like, no, I had to really work at it to get started. And
do you think that you're good at communicating because you've lived in so many different places? Let me just... Born in Dallas.
Yeah.
Moved to Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia Beach.
Lived in Scotland.
Yeah.
Came back to San Antonio.
Correct.
Went to Washington.
Yeah, Virginia again, but yeah.
Virginia, Washington, Idaho.
Detroit
before that.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that, what is going on in your brain every time you move? I mean, are you just like, well, I got to go meet new people, or is it just situation, or you want adventure? Like, what is it?
Right. So as a kid, obviously you have no choice.
Right.
Your parents kind of sit you down and you say you're going to move. So long story short, my father was an orphan in Mexico. And he was at the orphanage until about the age of 7. And when he was adopted, his adoptive mother abused him, burned his hands. And so he ran away, lived in the streets of Mexico 10 plus years. Anyways, long story short, my dad never did higher education. He never finished high school or anything. So in his mid-20s, this guy serving waters at a soccer field. Soccer is like, used to be our religion. But this guy, Hermano Escaño, he served waters as a ministry. And basically, my dad was like, why are you doing this? Long story short, my dad kind of had the itch to start school again. Okay. And so he sold his business, everything. So I think he had like $40K in his pocket, sold all the cars, everything, to go to Bible college. Mm-hmm. First started learning English, went to Bible college, and then he kept going, and it just never stopped. So we lived in downtown Dallas on Key East at Christ for the Nations. Then we went to Regent University in Virginia Beach. And then my dad was like, I want to do a PhD. And so we got the funding, everything was paid for him. So it was harder to say no, to progress.
He's going to be a doctor.
So yeah.
He was an orphan on the streets in Mexico.
Correct.
For 10 years. And then he's going to get his PhD and get it paid for. I assume because he's an excellent student.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's why
your dad?
Moved. Yeah, it's my dad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, great man. Yeah. I love him. He's great. He inspires me to do a lot of different things. Sure. But business was never like a huge thing. It was all school. My brother and I, none of us finished college. So it's kind of like my dad's huge in schooling.
He did all the schooling for you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So that's why we moved. We never had to say. But anyways, the running joke with my brother and I was everywhere we moved, we had to make new friends. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we went to the same school, and when we rocked up to the school, to go through the gate, we'd like say good luck, like let's make friends by lunch. That was really the thing, because the first day of school after summer is everybody's raising their hands. Who went to this middle school? Like going to this high school? Like everybody knows each other, right? That was never the case for us. Right. We always had to reinvent the wheel of friendship, and so I think that kind of benefited me a lot off of making those connections. And
so, how do you make friends? You know what I mean? What'd you learn from that? I mean,
you just say hi. You just talk. Everybody's human.
Proactive.
Yeah. People, you connect through similar mutual interest, and you're gonna find somebody that's your friend. And so in high school, I remember I had a 5th period lunch, and so the first period, everybody's like, "How's your summer?" Yada yada yada. We just moved back from Scotland, and Scotland's schooling system is way different. And so it was funny. Like we moved back to the States. Actually, it was like my dad. We were gonna stay, and my dad was like, "Hey, we'll move back for you because I know you want to play soccer in college. I know it's like better if we move back." And so, O'Connor High School, we made friends by lunch, and it just progressed through there. And I think that's kind of what's helped me with this business.
And that's what you're doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what our business is,
right.
is making friends with strangers all the time, right? And that's what it really ends up being at the end of the day when it comes to the sellers that we're working with or the buyers that we're working with is we're building a friendship there of some of trust and respect and really trying to help each other out here. You know what I mean? They know that we're investors. They know that we're going to make money on this, and they're fine with that as long as we can help them out, right? And these might not be best friends that we hang around with for forever, but they have to at least like us and trust us and know us to be able to do that. So that's a huge advantage. I think that you going in, one, just having the confidence of you and your brother going, hey, listen, we need to go make some friends.
Right.
And two, it's like as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, that's exactly what we do all day.
Right.
You know what I mean? When people are mean and angry and nasty to us, well, we don't have to be friends with those people.
Sure.
But if they're going to open up and be kind and listen and at least allow us to enter their life in some way, those are the people that we can work with. Those are the people that we can help out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's the same type of kind of philosophy there and parallel there. And I think that's why you got off to such a fast start.
Yeah. I was nervous. I was super nervous. Kind of had the golden handcuffs. I was telling your team before of having that job that I had. Which paid really well.
6 figures.
Yeah, 6 figures. And after kind of dwindling our bank account after moving to Idaho, so I was really fearful of like, is this thing legit? Like feeling like imposter syndrome of like, this won't work.
Oh, what, for the 2 weeks before you got your first deal?
Yeah.
The 2 hours before you picked up the phone or something?
Right. I remember telling, I think you're one of your workers, Jed, that does kind of onboarding and stuff. I watched the podcast, dove in the weeds, inquired, but hadn't I was like, hey, I have a deal going. I'm like totally nervous if this is real. I was like, I'll join as soon as I know it's real. And then we got it under contract, and it hadn't closed yet because we ended up deciding to wholesale it. But I joined the program before it closed.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about your business now. What are you doing to generate leads? Is it just you?
Just me.
Okay.
Yeah. Looking to maybe my neighbor, he just graduated high school. My private money lender I was telling you before, his son just graduated high school. So bigger picture, I love mentorship. I want to be an impact to the youth, and also because I was impacted by some mentors as well.
Sure.
Not just in business, just in guidance through life. And so I see him as a good person for that. Kind of took him out to lunch a couple weeks ago just to kind of show him what we do. But anyways, how my business runs is I cold called as a realtor. I door knocked. I did open houses. So that wasn't new to me. But I knew I was working at the at Keller Williams as a VP there.
Yeah.
And so I had steady income coming in every month, and I just sold the tiny house that I built and whatever. Anyways, I had money from that to put towards this business. And so I hired a cold caller out the gate. Not because I was scared of cold calling, just because I didn't have time.
Sure.
Because I had to leave my house from 7:30 to go to work to be there at 8:30. I didn't get off till 5, and then didn't get home till 6. So I was like, when am I going to call? And I'm huge on time with my family.
Sure.
I have a daughter, Adeline. Adeline Rose is my daughter's name, and then my wife, Jessica. Huge on time with them. So I didn't want to. I knew they do support me and would, but I didn't want to take too much time away from that.
Sure.
So hired the cold caller. So that's how I got started. Leads started coming in, started follow up, kept following up, and it just happened.
Let me ask you this. Right before you get on the phone, what do you do to be confident? What do you do to make sure? Because listen, I mean, you've got dad hat, you've got husband hat, you've got a Keller Williams hat at the time, you've got all these other different hats that you've got going on. You've got your own self. How do you put on your real estate wholesaling, real estate investor hat, put it on, get it straightened out, and get on that call? What do you do?
Right. So in the beginning, while I was working at Keller, I was like, I don't want to be here. So that's what got me motivated.
Yeah.
I was like, and if any of them are watching, we left really well in good terms.
Sure.
Great people. But I just didn't. Even at that point, and I can dive into in a second. The owner and designated broker and like the whole corporate structure pulled me into a meeting, and they're like, "What's going on with you?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "You don't seem happy."
Right.
So anyways, that was my motivation.
I can assume that people would figure that out quickly with you.
You know
what I mean?
Yeah,
like
wear
if
it on
I
the
have
sleeve.
a bad day, people are like, wait a second, what is happening here? I haven't heard from them in like 10 minutes. Something's going on.
Right.
Probably the same with you. And
sure.
when you walk in, when you have stars in your eyes and you're ready to go, and and you don't, and they're like, there's some changes here.
Something going on.
We're unemployable.
Right, and that's what I figured out.
I think most people that watch and listen to this are. You know what I mean? They're just a lot of people have responsibilities. A lot of people have family. A lot of people have things that they have to take care of, so they need the income coming in. They haven't necessarily been taught how to start a business or haven't had enough time to really build the momentum of a business. Mm-hmm. But we all have that brain. You know what I mean? We all want to be in control of our schedule. We want to be in control of our financial futures and the opportunities that we can have for our families, right? We all want that, and it's just getting the opportunity to be able to build a business that's going to replace our income, so that we can take care of those responsibilities and then really rock and roll. Yeah. And that's kind of the position you're at right now. Right.
Yeah. It is exactly. Yeah. So I mean, what gets me forward to actually pick up the phone?
So before getting on the phone was like, you know what? This is I gotta work for myself.
Yeah,
I gotta
this
do
isn't
this.
it.
I gotta build something for myself. I'm gonna get on with confidence and just do it.
Right. Yeah. So while working at the KW, and I'm not ashamed to say this, but I was working fully on this business while I was working there.
I think most people at their jobs are working fully on this business.
So I had So I had a lot of autonomy in that role. I set my you live and die by your schedule, by your calendar, and so I interviewed 3 producing agents a day. I had different Zoom meetings for the bigger KW family and everything. So I knew there was different slots. So I would go on seller appointments while I was working. I would take calls. I would do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, okay, I love this. This gets me more excited. I'm happy. I was coming home. I hadn't even told my wife yet that I started this until the deal closed, because I didn't want to let her get too excited. But that's what kind of kept me going, was the fact that I knew, I said, even if I made the same amount of money or 20 grand less, I'm much happier doing this than being here all day. Love it. So
let's break down a deal.
Sure.
Which one do you want to break down? Your first one, your most recent one? Which one? Your first one?
Yeah, I'll do my first one.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And this you had started. You watched the YouTube video, YouTube channel in February. Yeah. 2 weeks later, you get a pre-foreclosure under contract.
Yeah. So I was calling I kind of scoured YouTube, and everybody was like, foreclosures are kind of the low-hanging fruit. Okay. Also, they're the ones that get called the most. But I was like, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. So I'm just calling, getting like, dude, you're the 100th, 50th, whatever person. And then I just kept calling, even if they said no. The seller, Christy, she's awesome, was my first deal. She had answered the phone and said, who's this? And then we spoke for like 30 seconds. And she was like, hey, I'm actually busy. Can we talk tomorrow? I said, sure. Got super excited. And I was like, wow, she's going into foreclosure in like 3 weeks. Like, what do I do? Kind of thing. And then just kept watching YouTube. I wasn't in your program yet, so I didn't have like so much support, direct support. Yeah. And then watching Ryan Weimer's podcast, I reached out to him. And so I had not gotten fully under contract yet. I said, hey, there has to be something ultra different here. I'm used to, listing and selling houses. I've never dealt with a foreclosure. That sounds like Chinese to me. What do I do? Yeah. And so I reached out to him with like, hey, I'm willing to 50-50 with this with you. I saw your podcast, super pumped about it. Mm-hmm. Let's connect. Yeah. And so he doesn't live there. Great guy. Doesn't live there, but I met with his acquisitions guy, Ryan Miller, and he kind of underwrote it with me. I have access to the MLS there because I'm an agent there, and because it's a non-disclosure state, so I was able to see like what was happening and what the actual data was, and I thought we could wholesale it for 20 to 25K, and they kind of reviewed it, And after following up many times with this seller, kind of getting the confidence to go with us, and what kind of warmed her heart is I told her I was, and I didn't lie, it's true, I was a youth pastor.
Yeah.
And her response was, "That's great. I want to work with you. Can you send me your website?" And I like froze. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't have a website. I started this thing 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. How do I get a website?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And because I was like about it, because I'm super responsive with all my communication.
Sure.
Because if you're not, it just, there's discrepancy in that, and it can kind of.
So key.
Yeah, it can make you credible and legit if you're just keep communicating and have confidence.
99% of people don't understand how to respond fast.
Right.
So, you don't have a website. She's asking you for a website. Was it through a text?
Yeah, because
you have to respond fast.
So I said, I and at this point I'll backtrack a little bit. I hadn't contacted Ryan yet.
Yeah.
So I hadn't like formulated.
Swatted up.
I haven't formulated that relationship yet. But I knew in my mind, I was like, who was going to say no to money?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I knew it was a deal off of the data.
Sure.
And so I ended up just saying, great. This is our website. Offer Now Idaho is our website. Feel free to look at it. Mm-hmm. I'm new on the team, so I'm not in any of the testimonials or videos. Ryan Miller, he's awesome. He's somebody that works with us for a while.
Sure.
Ryan Weimer is our owner. I've kind of, before you even get, and sorry, Ryan, if you're mad about this, before we've kind of formulated, I just kind of stepped into the role of saying, I'm a part of this company.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
And after doing that, she was like, this is perfect. This is great. And then apparently she like knew somebody that had worked with them before.
Wow.
And was like, yeah, like I talked to my realtor and you guys are legit and this is great. Let's meet. Mm-hmm. And so then I go and backtrack and message Ryan, hey, saw your podcast. My name is Daniel Alvarez, yada, yada, yada. I kind of said, I'm on your team.
Yeah.
I used your website. Sorry in advance. But like we can 50-50 this, right? And he said, no worries, like great. Like you should talk to Ryan, call Ryan Miller, his acquisitions guy the next day. Talk to him.
So you DM'd him?
DM'd him, yeah.
You didn't even have a cell phone number?
No, just DM'd him, yeah. And then we hopped on the phone a few days later,
Sure.
Yeah, and so got connected. We underwrited the deal. They said it was a deal like I expected. We met at a Starbucks and kind of, I kind of shadowed the interaction.
Yeah.
And
so did they go on the appointment? Did Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan Miller.
On the appointment with her?
Yeah. His acquisitions guy went on the appointment with me. I stepped away from my KW job for about 3 hours. And went on this appointment.
Sure.
And then we got the contract signed. At this point, they hadn't told me that we could get more out of it. Because they ended up going to see the house. They're like, this is super clean. Mm-hmm. This was also like 4 months ago, so the market wasn't as it is right now. Things were still flying off the wall.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, we can actually close on this and wholesale it. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what wholesaling was at the time. I didn't know any of that. And so, they said, hey, we can wholesale this. Maybe we can pull like $60K out of this. You know, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna make $30K. I can reinvest all of that and get into your program and all of that. And anyways, they were super happy with the service. We got to give them a rent back of a week. They were crying at the closing, super happy, super thankful. They walked away with $80,000 themselves.
Saved them from foreclosure.
Yeah, we saved them from foreclosure. She was super emotional about it. And she was like, hey, you saved us from foreclosure. And also we're walking away to like do well. You know, because they both have great jobs. She works at the hospital, and he's a trucker. They just, made some difficult decisions and to end up there, and we just connected. And I was like, wow, okay, so this is what it's about. It's just connecting.
That's it.
And talking to people.
That's it.
And so that's how that happened. We closed the deal.
What'd you buy it for?
So we bought it for $193. Mm-hmm. That's what we bought it for.
Yep.
And then we just painted the interior. That's all they did. Not even the carpets, there wasn't carpet, but we just painted it, the interior. And then we listed it 5 days later. We listed it, I know we listed it for $30K under what it sold for. We got 5 offers within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm. So you listed it for?
I think it closed at
$250-ish.
No, it closed at 310. Sorry. Yeah. So we listed it at 279. Yeah.
And closed at 310.
Yeah, closed at 310.
And how much was that paint job? How much did that cost?
Yeah, it was like $3,500 or something like that. Yeah.
And so, what did you guys net on this thing?
So we netted 90,000.
Come on.
Yeah.
Ring that victory bell, brother. That is incredible.
Great.
Ring it.
It broke. Sorry, guys.
So strong. It should break on 90K deals.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Over $90,000.
Yeah, it was 90K.
That is incredible.
Yeah. So we split it 50-50.
Yeah.
I walked away with 45.
Yep.
And then I joined your program with that. And reinvested everything in the business.
It does not cost $45,000.
No. No, I just invested everything back in the business.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And so, how'd that feel?
It was great.
I mean,
great. Yeah.
Was it something like, oh my gosh, 45,000 hitting the cat? Had you ever gotten a check like that ever before?
Not at once.
Right.
Yeah, not at once.
But saving and hitting and doing some other real estate deals here and there.
I made my first six figures a couple of years prior.
But not in one deal.
Not in one deal. No. I was super shocked. It was really weird.
Yeah.
And my wife, when she saw that, I finally communicated to her, hey, I started wholesaling. And this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then she didn't believe it until I showed her, and and kind of do everything to support them. I love them; they're my pride and joy. But yeah, it kind of opened everything to say, hey, maybe I don't have to do this corporate job anymore.
Love it.
Maybe I can walk away, and I was just happier. It ignited something. I came home with my swagger back.
Yep.
Like, it was great. My wife was just saying, like, you're different.
Yeah.
Like, there's something different.
Yeah.
And so it was awesome. Yeah.
Well, listen, when you get to work for yourself and get that kind of income based off of like literally your efforts out there in the streets having conversations, it's a different feeling than just getting a slice of something from some company. You know what I mean? You went out there and provided that much value. It wasn't the company, it wasn't the whole thing. It was you.
Right.
And so getting that all coming back, and obviously Ryan and his team are incredible, and they did a great job, and they did right by you, and you guys split the deal, and it was great.
He paid me out of escrow, actually.
Yeah.
I wasn't even on the contract.
Right.
So it was cool. We actually have a great relationship now, and I hit him up for different things, and I know we'll do business in the future.
Awesome.
And now I have his actual direct cell phone number. He lives in England now, but so it kind of allowed me to have a relationship with one of the biggest players in my market.
Yep.
And that was worth $45,000 to me.
Awesome.
To partner with them.
Yeah.
Kind of just opened the floodgates.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what's the big goal now? Like, what is?
Yeah. So
what gets you excited? What is?
Yeah. So on our first call, I wrote down, or you asked me, what's my goal? Mm-hmm. I thought the goal that I communicated during that call was outlandish. I wrote down $360,000. I think the reason I wrote that down was 24 deals at $20K a pop.
Sure.
Or something like that.
480.
Yeah, or maybe $15K pop.
Yeah.
And I wrote that down, and I taped it in my corporate office of like there. It's next to my scripts to talk to agents, and it said $360,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
But the 90K deal was like, I just did that, so this should be simple, right? And so I ended a bigger picture, the bigger goal after going to the All In event a month ago here in Phoenix. I wrote down a new goal of $500,000.
Awesome.
So this year's goal is $500,000 for 6 months. We'll do with since I am a licensed agent, I don't want to do this for the entirety of my business, just to save capital. I've gotten 2 listings off of these leads that I'm servicing, but in the future I'll just refer them out. Mm-hmm. So between flips, listings, and wholesales, we'll do 240 in the first 6 months. But so the big picture is $500K, but beyond that, the bigger picture is more time with the family and running a coffee shop and having impact in the community.
I love this. Talk to me about this coffee shop.
Yeah, coffee.
Give everybody that's just listening a vivid detail of what your vision is for this, because I love it.
Yeah. So
are these everywhere? Are these on every street corner?
No. One spot. Maybe 2, but I think just 1. The bigger goal is including. So what's beautiful about this business, my LLC, the wholesaling company it's called Arbor Home Solutions, and I've invited my wife to kind of choose the colors and decoration of the flips, and that's got her excited. She's a stay-at-home mom, which is great. But the bigger picture with the coffee shop is her having a flower stand at the coffee shop, and having chickens and having eggs at the coffee shop, and I want to call it Sagrada Familia, which means sacred family in Spanish. Spanish is my first language, but mentoring the youth of the local area, serving beer at night, having live music, just being kind of a connection, a pulse in the neighborhood.
I love it. I love it.
Coffee doesn't make like the big bucks, but to me, it's the impact means more. To me, I want to give the glory to God. That's just what it's been about, and really being able to bless people when they've fallen at hard times,
Sure.
and just giving free coffee away sometimes, and just having events at the coffee shop, maybe real estate events, small groups through the church. So that's the bigger goal. The
Awesome.
bigger goal is that, and my wife wants the homestead. So
Sure.
that's the big goal.
You're kind of modeling this community-based mindset from your dad.
Yeah,
right?
it's all.
Tell everybody what he does.
Yeah, so my dad
and the sacrifices he's made, because he could go
right.
bananas with his income.
Yeah. So my dad, he has 2 masters, a bachelor's, and a PhD. He's in Aguascalientes right now, which is in Mexico, and he teaches at a master's level to pastors that can't afford that education. So shout out to Rick Lane. I'll send this to you, Rick Lane. Rick Lane, he is an amazing man. He kind of calls himself my uncle.
Yeah.
He's been blessed financially in through stocks and bonds and real estate, and he funds my dad's projects. So my parents collectively make like $60K a year.
Yeah.
Really nothing huge, but they're the happiest people I know.
And teaching the community.
So teaching the community, having impact, having people over for dinner. I want to retire my parents one day.
Sure.
I tell them all the time. My dad laughs, but it's the goal.
Yeah.
It's just the goal to have impact in the family.
Awesome.
So,
how can people get in touch with you? People that want to squat up in Boise, people that just hear the story, they feel inspired, they want to kind of be in your world.
Right.
You're the connector, you know what I mean?
Sure.
You're a connector type personality and networker and somebody that wants to provide a ton of value. So
sure.
How do people reach you?
Yeah, I have Facebook, Instagram. My last name is Alvarez, so you'll find a million of those. But if you put Boise, Daniel Alvarez, or Instagram is Sold with Alvarez. My number is 208-994-9775.
Oh boy. Say it again.
208-994-9775.
Hey, you're insane. No, listen, you're going to get blown up. You put it out there, so there it is.
I pretty much know
awesome.
most of the people in my market, but there's another student in my market, Tyler. He lives in Middleton, which is like 7 minutes from me. I just want to connect. To me, I actually feel happy when I'm having conversations with people.
Sure.
And if somebody wants to have lunch or coffee.
Well, the more connections you have, the faster you get that coffee shop to even have more connections in the community. Right. I'm telling you.
Right.
It's all talking to people. It's all having those quality conversations. It's all providing value, and it's all about squatting up and having that network of people that are positive and optimistic and proactive, and you want to be around. You know, they're just happier people. They're just happy, great energy people. You can feel it.
Sure.
And people feel it from you for sure. So that is awesome. So everybody out there, make sure that you reach out to Daniel, and that's incredible. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
It's going to be incredible watching your journey. That's awesome.
Thanks, Brent.
And if you're interested in joining the most proactive group in real estate investing, it is the TTP family. Go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. That's wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Check out what it's all about. Check out the incredible people like Daniel that are in our community. And if it feels good in your gut, sign up for a call, and I look forward to working with you personally. And that is it. As always, I sign off from this podcast encouraging everybody to go out there and talk to people. Till next time. Love you guys. See ya.